The company is looking at storing their less frequently accessed files on AWS that can be concurrently accessed by hundreds of EC2 instances. The company needs the most cost-effective file storage service that provides immediate access to data whenever needed. Which of the following options represents the best solution for the given requirements? EBS, S3, standard and frequent access, EFS, standard storage class, EFS, standard IA storage class. EFS, standard IA storage class. EFS is style service, which not provides a concurrently accessible storage for up to 1,000. Okay. So I guess that's part of it. It's concurrently accessible storage for up to thousands of EC2 instances. Okay. You're a developer for Movie Gallery, a company that just migrated to the cloud. A database must be created using NoSQL technology to hold movies that are listed for public viewing. You are taking an important step in designing the database with DynamoDB and need to choose the appropriate partition key. Which of the following unique attributes satisfies this requirement? Lead actor name, movie language, producer name, movie ID. Movie ID, okay. A photo sharing app manages its EC2 server fleet running behind an ALB, and the traffic is fronted by a CloudFront distribution. The development team wants to decouple the user authentication process for the application so that the application servers can just focus on the business logic. Which of the following solutions would you recommend to address this use case with minimal development effort? Okay, use Cognito authentication via Cognito user pools for your CloudFront distribution. Use Cognito authentication via Cognito identity pools for your ALB. Okay, use Cognito authentications via Cognito identity pools for your CloudFront distribution. Use Cognito authentication via Cognito user pools for your ALB. Yeah. All right, good. Use Cognito authentication via Cognito user pools for your application load balancer. A company wants to implement authentication for its new RESTful API service that uses API Gateway. To authenticate the calls, each request must include HTTP headers with a client ID and user ID. These credentials must be compared to the authentication data in a DynamoDB table. Which of the following would you recommend for implementing this authentication in API Gateway? Okay, so for example, an e-commerce site. Authorize using Cognito that will reference the authentication table of DynamoDB. Set up an API Gateway model that requires the credentials, then grant API Gateway access to the authentication table in DynamoDB. Develop a Lambda authorizer that references the authentication data in the DynamoDB. Oh God, here we go. You can't see it, but there's something in the way of what I'm trying to do. Update the, no, I can't see the last thing. Okay. Develop a Lambda authorizer that references the DynamoDB authentication team. A Lambda authorizer is an API Gateway feature that uses a Lambda function to control access to your API. A Lambda authorizer is useful if you want to implement a custom authorization scheme that uses a bearer token. Okay. The company stores confidential data on an S3 bucket. New regulatory guidelines require that files be stored with server-side encryption. Okay. The encryption used must be advanced encryption standard AES 256, and the company does not want to manage S3 encryption keys. Which of the following options should you use? They don't want to manage. Okay. SSE S3. Each object is encrypted with a unique points as an encryption keys on that regular range. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's finish it.